Huh?
How's everyone's English, Maxime? How quick or slow should I speak?
I think that the current speech speed is okay.
Okay.
Try not to be too fast, because you know, we are not the native speakers here.
Indeed, indeed.
If you don't mind, we will make a recording.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay, the screen share should have loaded now. How's that, Maxime?
So now the group of the students we will start in just 1 minute.
Yep, yep.
No, short Ukrainian intro, and then I will switch to Ukrainian.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Okay. Я маю честь, я потім переключу на англійську, але так для вас, для загалу. У нас, кстати, переглянули, є гостьовий професор, яка є цікава практика, коли ти запрошуєш до читання тих чи інших частинок людину, яка є великим спеціалістом. Сьогодні у нас професор Tomlins, він з університету Coventry, Великобританія. Я з ним співпрацюю з 2015 року. Років 6-7 так точно. Ми мали проєкт фінансований Британською радою в рамках розвитку креативних індустрій. В країні проєкт був дуже успішний. Ми його завершили у 2021 році. І підтримуємо контакти. Нарешті домовилися, ми хотіли влітку, домовилися зараз про таку лекцію про те, що називається дизайн мислення, те, що називається ігрові інструменти в розвитку ваших проєктів. Для тих магістрів, які тут є, я читаю дисципліну відповідних проєктів. Як на мене, це класний погляд, те, що я буду сам розповідати десь. Подивитись з боку професора Томлінса. Він буде на англійській, перекладу не буде, бо ми просто не визнаємося по часу ніякі рамки. Будьте активними, задавайте запитання, це буде прямо цікаво, корисно. So, Richard, now I switch to Ukrainian, to English.
Okay.
So, I will make a short introduction to you. So we have, actually I'm delighted that finally we reached the time slot for you to deliver a lecture on what you are very good in. It's creative, playful technologies in education, in entrepreneurship, in actually project management, in yeah. And so now I think the floor is yours.
Thank you, Maxime.
Thank you for your lecture, and then we will have a question.
Thank you, my friend. Can I just check, first of all, that everyone can see the screen? If you could give me a thumbs up. You can see the slides. I can see someone in the second row. Thank you. And can you all hear me okay?
Could be better.
Thank you. I've been to Ukraine over the last 5 years, and in Ivano-Frankivsk, there was always one student who attended who every time I came to Ukraine said to me, "Richard, can you speak in American, please?" So of course I can't speak in American, so this is going to be in English. Please wave if I go too fast, or please wave if you want me to explain something. I'll speak for around about 40 minutes and then we'll move to questions and answers. I've just literally took one slide out of the deck as Maxime was presenting so that we could try and run to time. I'm Coventry University Group Regional Director for UK and Europe. So we're a global university. Our turnover is around about £500 million per year. You can see the picture of Coventry and Coventry Cathedral, where Maxime and colleagues have been in the past. And interestingly, we have a campus in Wrocław in Eastern Poland and a commitment to continue to work in Ukraine. And I think that the most important thing that I can say out of this whole presentation is that I, along with colleagues in the United Kingdom, are in, I feel so humble being amongst you and knowing the efforts that as a country you are taking to win this war. And people in the United Kingdom, we stand behind you, we stand with you and behind you, and that will not change. And I feel very honoured and very humbled to be speaking to you. Having said that, this might strike you as a slightly odd subject because I'm going to talk about design thinking for creativity and innovation. But more importantly, I'm going to talk about the role of play and even fun in coming up with creative and innovative ideas for all of us. So the aims of this session to articulate a Coventry University design thinking approach, to highlight the work that we've carried out, including in Ukraine and including in Ivano-Frankivsk, around play and playful interventions to build business resilience and societal change. And that was most recently with wounded military veterans and heads of household from displaced families. And I want to talk, yes, about technology and the way in which technology can be used, however, also about how we can be frugal through play for business innovation and societal impact. And any of the things that I talk about in this session will give you a copy of the slides through Maxime. But if you want the individual tools, please either ask me directly, my contact details will be at the end of the slide deck, or ask Maxime to ask me. So this is the, whoops, that was a bit heavy-handed. This is the definitional bit. This is me speaking about design thinking in Mexico at the Indigenous Mayan Heritage Museum. And in essence, in terms of design thinking, we're talking about things that are quite common sense. We're talking about a set of methods and strategies for interviewing people, building up insights through those interviews, then developing rough and rapid prototypes of the intervention we want to make, and testing and iterating on those solutions. So design thinking is customer focused. And I think in the current context, it's most important to say that it's very agile and can be used to respond rapidly to changing environments and to create maximum impact. And pertinent, I think, at the moment is that even though it's playful, it's also a perfect antidote to worlds that are volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous, and maybe hyper-connected. So within that definition of design thinking, I want to give you permission to play. And for me, play is critical to design thinking and work more generally, because play enriches work, it builds team connections and trust, it unlocks creativity, it opens up new perspectives, and it builds energy. And these techniques around play we use with government officers in the United Kingdom through to social entrepreneurs in Mexico, and you'll see a whole host of examples that we've used in Ukraine as well. So pictures will include a fair number from Ukraine. So this is the Women's Business Accelerator in Ivano-Frankivsk. It's run by the Tourist Association Ivano-Frankivsk, Oksana Fedorovich. And they enjoyed a series of sessions 2-3 years ago now, where we sought to introduce the delegates to play as an activity or an instrument or a tool, and playfulness as an attitude or practice. So the idea is you play to become playful. And then once you become playful, your mind is opened up to new experiences, imaginations, and the ability to explore possibilities. So we do this in a number of ways. Maxime will be aware that we have a number of card games that we deploy. So as a young entrepreneur, as a budding entrepreneur, we might be asking you about how you feel as a business person. Is it like skating on thin ice? We have card tricks to challenge the way in which you think about the world. So this is a card deck, but again, Maxime, you're getting plenty of name references and name checks. This is a card deck that we chop up and we distribute each of you with one card, and we get you to count the number of Fs on the card. And we can talk about that later, but it's basically a trick in terms of everyone having the same card, but everyone seeing something slightly different. And then particularly powerfully recently, we used this card deck in Mexico and then with colleagues from Ethiopia as well. And for the first time, people picked a card and cried. And the idea of the card was not to make them cry, but to think about a metaphor which would explain their entrepreneurial journey. So there's 103 of these different images. They're Creative Commons. Maxime, I'm quite happy to share them by zip file for people. And they're simply meant to be prompts. You see the picture, or maybe you see the words, and it makes you think about your journey as an entrepreneur, as a young engineer, as a teacher, as a head of household, whatever it might be. It, in essence, gives you permission to talk about that journey, including perhaps the difficult moments in that journey. And I think that theme of permissions is really important to play in allowing people to express things in different ways to which they would express them in a formal meeting. So there's also some quite historic card games. This is one of the older ones. I don't know if there's any musicians in the room. Hands up if you're a musician. There's a very famous UK musician called Brian Eno, who largely performs ambient music now. He was in a band called Roxy Music, who were a 1970s UK band. And alongside that, he introduced a card deck called Oblique Strategies. And it's that you have a phrase, And that phrase simply prompts you to start thinking in different ways. So once we've got your attention with the card game, and this looks like it was a particularly cold day in Ivano-Frankivsk, and this is at Brit when it was over at New Energy and the International Oil and Gas University of Ivano-Frankivsk, we use Lego for you to make strategy with. And we end up buying some very expensive Lego serious play sets with slightly different figures, but you don't particularly need this. The figures are simply a tool again. But the tool is based on the belief that there is vast untapped potential in the people in organisations. And actually, whatever challenge you have, it's the people in those organisations that are in the best position to resolve those most serious positions. And if you're interested in the theory behind this, there's an open source book. And again, we can send that to you direct if you wish to email me, or we can send it to you via Maxine. But the idea is that through the use of play and Lego, you get what we call a lean forward meeting rather than a lean back meeting. You're engaged, you're starting to participate, and no matter in the photo on the left, my left, who's the chief executive, who's the technical officer, they're all leaning forward around the table and they're all engaging. So the idea about Lego is that you make a model and you then discuss what that model represents. And what that tends to give is not only more honest conversations, but conversations that unlock different perspectives. It's simply, in one sense, a different way of doing things that will then trigger different emotions, different thoughts, and creates a democratic playing field whereby everybody literally and metaphorically gets the opportunity to put their own issues on the table. So this is Ivano-Frankivsk again. This is the Women's Business Accelerator unit, and I can still remember, which is part of the power of the use of Lego, the conversation that was had around this particular model. So the woman who presented talked about her entrepreneurial journey and the way in which she needed almost like a propeller on her head, a helicopter to rise her up into the air so she could experience all the business opportunities. She needed a hard hat to survive the difficult challenges that she'd face, including some of them around gender. And she also needed the collecting cup in order to finance her journey, and the magnifying glass to really focus on the business opportunities that would be coming her way. And you'll be able to see the door half open to us that she's going to have to kick aside to be able to make progress in her business ventures, but to be careful as she goes through that doorway. Because some students maybe, or business opponents, have put some obstacles on the top of that door that will fall on her as she proceeds through. And then, although she's then in sight of the customer, the journey is still challenging. She still needs to make sure that she has her balance, because that customer's on a little bit of a ledge. So we'll do this over half an hour, maybe an hour, and what we're looking to do is get people to physically and mentally interact at the same time, to connect their left and right brains, and also to create a bit of a neurological pattern whereby they remember the story, they remember the inspiration, they remember their goal. And I'd suggest to you that the model, and me talking about the model 3 years, 4 years after the session in Ivano-Frankivsk, is very evocative of that. If you simply asked me to describe what was built in that session, I couldn't remember, but the picture brings it all back to me. And if we met now, we could talk about how far that woman had been able to overcome those challenges and bring her business through to success. So we get visual reminders of different significant aspects of a problem, and neuroscientific researchers have talked about this as being a reduction of workload. So having made the model, she's better able to move past the challenges and away from the challenges and focus on the solutions. So Lego Serious Play is the brand, and you'll see advertising courses out there for it. However, as a facilitator, I sometimes find it a little bit stilting. It's very sequential. It's level 1, build a tower. Level 2, build a model of yourself. And my brain as a participant at level 1 is saying, why do I need to build a model of a tower? I want to get on and do something which is more focused. So in response, we developed a quicker model called Lego A Go-Go. So you simply build a model of yourself and the ecosystem that you want around you. But this is Ivano-Frankivsk again, and a demonstration, I think, in terms of how democratic and participatory the general Lego approach is. It gives the more junior or less vocal members of a team the chance to have their say. And it also offers the senior person or dominant members the opportunity to listen to insights from colleagues. So we tend to use Lego Serious Play for strategizing and for it to be a particular creative and innovative way of strategizing. And then in terms of organizational development, we use something called Business Model Canvas, which is Creative Commons. If you haven't already used it as part of your courses, we can make this available to you. And I'm going to stop share in a second, because I think it's a brilliant tool. It was hugely disruptive as a business planning tool about 10 years ago, and you'll see the 9 different blocks there. I think that the thing that strikes me is always, in terms of teaching about Business Model Canvas, once I've said there are 9 blocks, and once I've said, actually, the key thing is that they knit together like that, and as soon as you affect that block, it affects that one, there's not that much more to say about it. So I was always interested in a way in which we could make it more engaging and more playful. The core concept of Business Model Canvas, I think if I think back to when I was being taught about business and how to develop organizations, it felt like, I've got this great business idea. And my tutor would say, you can't open your business until you have a business plan. But I've got this great idea. I'm really excited. You can't open your business until you've got a business plan. And it felt that until you got a business plan which was this big, you couldn't actually start your business. And by the time that you'd got to this bit, you'd forgotten what you'd written at this bit. So the idea about the 9 blocks is that your business plan on A3 typically, and you can see the way in which your decisions affect other decisions. And yes, if you're going for the bank loan, you might need something more complicated, more complex rather. However, it feels very intuitive on that one side of A3. And again, we can send you the links to the templates for that. Pre-lockdown, we then turned it into a board game, because what we wanted to do was get people to be used to playing with the 9 blocks and engaging with the 9 blocks and looking at the way in which one decision would affect another. And then into pandemic, that becomes more difficult. We can't use the board game. So one of Maxime's former colleagues very kindly developed a virtual version of that, which, let's see if we can get this to share. So again, we can make this available to you. So you'll get the idea of, let me just bring it down in terms of resolution, so you can see all the blocks. Or maybe I just scroll. I've got a sticky cursor, Maxime, so forgive me, I'll have to show you this and get you to look at them later. But basically, there are 9 blocks, you know that. And if you check this little box here, you get dealt a different deck each time so that you can play with those different blocks. So for this one, your value proposition, the aim of your business, if you like, is clean water and sanitation. And you're particularly interested in clean water and sanitation for disabled people. And the way in which you're going to bring customers into contact with that product of clean water and sanitation is through existing customers, and so on and so forth. And tucked down the bottom of the screen, where my cursor won't for the moment allow me to go, because it's stuck. Let's see if we can get that one. There we go. You'll finally get down to the bottom and you'll get question marks. So you'll get teased as to having combined all those 8 different blocks. What's the revenue stream that you can bring together from that? And you can practice different business ideas with different decks. And then we decided that that was great as an entry level. However, we wanted to make it a bit more complex, and we wanted to introduce more uncertainty. And we also wanted to have a nod to social business as well. So let's see if we can get across to this one. So you're seeing the same one again at the moment, but if we swap across here, you have a slightly different template. So you have 12 blocks instead of 9. You have more blocks that don't have a value in. This one's a little slower. I always get nervous. Here we go. So the purpose is volunteering. We want you to engage with people who are concerned about animal cruelty. And so you build up your business ideas in that same way. So Maxine, let's share those links, and if people want me to come back and facilitate a session where they play with those links, I'm more than happy to do that. And let's hope there's a time very soon that I can get over to Ukraine and do that physically as well. Okay, back to the main deck, which is stubbornly refusing to perform at the moment. I might have to, there we go. That's the material we've just covered. So I'm now going to take you to some of the animations that we've done. So the idea about the animations is, again, we create an environment where, as part of business, you can start to make decisions. So this is a game where there's an American craft beer company looking to move into the Mexican market, and they have a decision as to whether they're going to grow crops in Mexico. And by the time that we've got to this stage, we already know, Maxime?
Yeah. The thing is that we have AI siren now.
Okay. So you need to go.
Yeah, unfortunately, we need to interrupt because the students need to go to the shelter.
Yeah. Okay, well, shout across when you need. I'll be online.
Yeah, let's see. Maybe it will be, switched off in some minutes. We don't know.
Okay. Yeah, no problem at all.
Let's pause it for now. But,
go and get safe.
Yeah,
don't bother talking to me. Go and get safe. Talk to me later.
Yeah. Можете подключить трансляцию?
I'll see you later.
I know, Richard. Probably we will ask you for another time slot.
Okay. Yeah. Fine.
Because we don't.
Yeah, fine. I'll go so you can focus on what you need to do.
Ми зараз бачите обговорюємо.
Па-па.
Хай зараз. Може зараз. Давай, якщо має пару годин.
Окей, Richard, are you?
Він сам більше налякався, як ми.
А то тривога в Україні, йому там страшно.
Труситься.
Це ж як трошки пам'ятаєте.
Дивіться.